Hi, I'm Joe Mathews, CEO of Franchise Performance Group. Today I'm with Brian Sanders, CEO of I9 Sports. So we talked about the value proposition on the consumer side for the parent and for the kid, right? Let's talk about the value proposition of I9 as a business opportunity for franchisee. So we hit some of the points, right? So low entry cost, work from home, low overhead, highly scalable. What else?
Well, one of the things that we hear consistently from the franchise owners coming in is they typically are moving from something that they've done that either they had no passion for, so they just literally couldn't connect to it.
Yeah, I can get that.
But they might have been missing out on the life of their family. So there's this lifestyle that's
highly localized, right?
It's highly localized.
Are they living in the territories typically that they're
typically
servicing?
living within the territory, and we want that because you want to be connected to the community.
So it's almost like it's got this almost hometown hero kind of.
Very much so, very much
yeah.
so. And initially, we have franchisees that come in and say, I didn't realize the power of what we provide until they go to the field on that first opening day and they see the feedback and just the smiles that people have. So they internalize that. And then they, as we talked earlier about scaling, they begin to scale it out and realize that the model is so much bigger than themselves. And so they start bringing more help into the business and really step into the role of CEO. So you're moving from owner-operator into, I've built essentially a youth sports empire within my community.
Almost in any small business, right? There's always just those few key activities or levers that a franchisee needs to pull every single day that seem to drive everything else. You know, those high priority activities.
Yes.
So if I'm a franchisee, what are my high priority activities with I9?
I'm going to boil this down to two things. And of course, businesses are always more complex, but two big things they've got to do. The first is market.
Okay.
You have to market. And again, as we talked earlier, there are multiple facets of marketing, and we try to make that as easy as we can, but you got to do it. That's one. The other is engage the customer. This is a customer experience. And so the people that really do well in our system are the people that follow up on customer questions immediately. So, you know, we live in a society now of immediate gratification. And in an experiential brand like ours, that connection is so important. So it's following up on social media, it's following up on calls, it's just being in touch with your customer, because that is so different than the experience that parents have with other youth leagues. That bar is set so low in other leagues that it's not hard for us to surpass their expectations.
Yeah, on a high level, how do you use technology to just make the business more efficient or cost efficiencies?
Great question, and that's what I think one of the surprises in our business is people don't tend to think of youth sports as being very technology dependent. Ours, technology really is the backbone of our business, and through that, our customers register through the online process, but our franchise owners have their own dashboard, so they know at any given time how many members and registrations they have. They can see the age bell curve of the players as they've come in by sport. They can see where their opportunities are. They have an opportunities growth page. So it really gives them the opportunity to really have
some data mining component?
A lot of data mining that goes on, but more importantly, the ability to tie that to the financial aspect of their business, because again, we're always working to help our franchise owners bridge the operational excellence with what they want to get out of the business financially and really tighten up that connection.
So that's a fairly user-friendly information system. I guess it sounds like you're marrying the management information with the financial planning.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then you're toggling back and forth.
Exactly, and making those connections very easy.
Hiring decisions.
Exactly.
Okay, very good.
And the other piece of that is the franchise business coach. So we assign each franchise owner a business coach when they come into the system, and the job of the coach is they're a business coach. So they're there to help that individual really work through where they want to go, what are their goals, how they're going to get there, and then be able to say, this is how other franchise owners have gotten where you want to go, and maybe you can apply some of these same best practices.
So you've been in business for more than a decade, so your business has survived quite a few economic swings, right? So tell me, let's play worst case scenario, recessionary times, like 2008. How do we do?
We did wonderfully. I mean, like all businesses, we were not sure how that was going to play out. And what we found was that parents, while they might cut back on a lot of different things, they'd postpone major purchases, maybe not go on the vacation they were talking about, but when it comes to the kids' activities, they went full steam ahead. So we
So they would see
continued-
this as a necessity, not a luxury.
Absolutely, exactly. And so while other businesses were struggling, we continued to have year-on-year consecutive revenue records. So.
And is that carried through to the upswings?
Absolutely, it works. It really works through those curves. So we really didn't see much of an impact of the recession in terms of our ongoing registrations.
So the model sounds like it's fairly sustainable. There's some economic elasticity.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Carry
I
you
mean,
through okay.
you know, in terms of any business like ours, you're going to be looking for those opportunities to capitalize on whatever type of window you're in economically.
Yeah.
And we've got a business that really tends to weave through that quite smoothly.
So talk to me about the franchisee-franchisor relationship you're creating within the organization.
Yeah, you got to start with trust. When you're talking about the relationship between franchisor and franchisee, we are so, as a franchisor, dependent on the franchisees. We have to have them on board with where we're going. I talk within our home office. We don't call ourselves a corporate headquarters. We're a home office because we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And I talk with my team at the home office a lot about transparency, about no surprises, and about making sure that everybody understands why we're going where we're going. And I may not always agree. You can't have, as many franchise owners as we have and that kind of entrepreneurial spirit without people wanting to do things their own way. And that's all fine and good as long as we can talk through those things and at the end of the day agree that we're going to go in a direction and why we're going there. So communication is key, and that builds that trust. And so we've worked really, really hard to create a transparent culture and one in which everyone feels safe to say what they believe, even though it may not end up being the way they want it to go.
A lot of times when I get into franchise companies, generally not on the C level, but as you push down in the organization, they don't really respect or understand, the investment that the entrepreneur makes in the business, and they get treated like low-level employees as opposed to, right, key strategic partners,
Yes.
which is how it's designed.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how your staff, what would they say about franchisees? How would they view the franchisees?
I think they also understand that our whole role is to service and get results through our franchise owners. So they understand that interdependency.
Yeah.
I think they understand that truly their paycheck is dependent on how well we do at servicing that customer. The franchise owner is our customer, just like moms and kids are our customer.
Right.
And so we have to find a way of helping them succeed. So again, it gets back to really understanding the why of what we do.
I mean, I could make the case that the franchisee is your customer and the mom and the kid is their customer.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think you did say something earlier, though, is I don't know that everyone appreciates the amount of effort that goes into what the staff in a home office does. Things just seem to happen. And so I think one of the pressure points, the stress points of any franchisor is knowing that you, just like any other business owner, have limited resources,
Right.
Time, money, and people.
Right.
And so there are continual decisions being made about how do we get the biggest ROI out of the time invested in whatever activity that is.
That's right.
And that's where that conversation, the ongoing dialogue with the franchisees is so important to say, we're at a decision tree here. We're at a fork. We need you to weigh in on which of these two things is going to be of more value to you and help us make that decision.
One of the leadership experts, one of my favorite quotes he said was, "Good companies lead followers, great companies lead leaders." And I always saw franchises as kind of like a lead the leader model. Now that puts an amazing strain on the top, but can't the head executive, CEO of the company, but also can translate it to a huge competitive advantage on the delivery side, right? So tell me, how do you lead franchisees? What's your leadership style?
My leadership style is very inclusive. I mean, again, I really want to hear people out. I'm not a dictator. I don't like to make decisions in a vacuum. So my style is to create a clear vision. I know exactly where I want to go. But that decision, that vision wasn't created in a vacuum. And so my job is to empower the people around me and to make sure that we're bringing into our organization, both in the home office and franchisees within the network, who share the same passion for what this brand can become. But this is not about me. Just as I tell the franchise owners, you'll learn pretty quickly that business locally is not about you. It's much bigger than you.
What I find also in any franchise model, right, where you just got a bunch of entrepreneurs in a room, where you have a bunch of entrepreneurs, you have conflict. That's just the way it is.
Sure.
Right? But, what I love about the passion plays, like youth sports, it's something you can always go back to, right? Yeah. Like you always have the kids. It's something you can always agree on, right? So, in the face of a model, it's almost like built-in rub. You always have that level setting.
You're right.
Like, hey, let's remember why we're here.
That's the glue that holds us together, right? And it is it really is a passion play. So that ability.
It's not like it's transmissions, right?
No. And so there's something that does connect us all at a much deeper level, and that's the mission. We really are about helping kids succeed in life through sports, and that's not motherhood and apple pie. That's something we really do believe in.
So as CEO, of a values-driven, mission-driven company, you don't always get to see the mission being delivered, on the field with the families. But what are some of your favorite stories where you said to yourself, you know what, that day we got it done?
As CEO, you're right. I don't get to be at the field as frequently as the business owners, but one of the things that I really do love is when I get to visit the fields and go out to visit the franchise owners, because that is their product. And so you get to talk with the franchisee initially as they're coming through training and going out, and you can see the wheels turning, saying, is this really going to work? Is this, is all this effort going to pay off? And then go visit them after they've opened, and you just see them beaming because they actually see it in practice. And so for me, that's gratifying, because I can see that we've actually accomplished the mission by getting someone to follow that formula and be excited about it. And see that in practice. And there are numerous stories now of people, franchise owners at different stages of that ownership.
It's interesting. So you took the conversation in a direction, towards your mission, which is to make the owners successful. I was listening for, like the consumer stories. So let's go down your tunnel, right? So how do you resource franchisees? Because that's what I hear is your mission, right? You resource franchisees so they can deliver the value promise of the brand locally, right? So how do you fulfill on your mission of resourcing franchisees and helping them become successful?
In terms of how we attract them?
In terms of how you develop them.
How we develop them, great. So when someone comes into our system, what we want to do is get them off on the good foot immediately. So we assign a business coach, and the franchise business coach's job initially is to help them understand what the formula is. How are you going to scale this? How are we going to build this out? What exactly are the resources required to get there?
Right.
They move up that curve pretty quickly. Beyond that, then it comes into a much more, what I'll call true coaching relationship, which is, Joe, where do you want to go with this business? What is it that's important to you? How do you want the I-9 Sports business to serve your lifestyle? And that's very different depending on the person. So getting the business to that level of personal engagement and personal relationship is what makes people successful. And that's an ever-changing dialogue that has to continue for the whole life of the franchise. And we take that very seriously. So there's not one pat answer to how to make someone successful other than finding out what they define as success and helping them get there.
What I always thought about interesting about your business too was when I look at what it takes to win as a franchisee, and there's entry-level jobs, but there's not a whole lot of entry-level businesses, right?
That's true.
I see your business more towards like, if you just, it's shoe leather stuff, right? It's just hustle.
Right.
If you just hustle, it's one of those businesses that seems to just reward activity. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have spent a lot of time building a turnkey model. And in fact, I'll go a step further, which is, again, youth sports have been around for eons. And people say, well, anybody with a ball and a playing space and a whistle could probably put on a sport. And the answer is yes. But they can't make a living doing it without the system that we've built. We were the first to create a business around delivering this scalable experience. And so I think that really is a remarkable thing about our business models.
What do you see as competitive threats or inhibiting factors to the business?
You may laugh at this, but I'll say self-tackleization. It's a term I use within the organization.
No idea what that means.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what that means. What that means is it's not doing what we're good at. We, in our business, it's not a highly technical business. What we do isn't rocket science, but it is doing a lot of different things very well.
And staying in your lane.
And staying in our lane,
yeah.
exactly. So self-tackleization is not being true to who we are. It's basically tripping over our own feet, not
Got
tying
it.
our shoelaces, not keeping our head up, being true to the vision of where we want to go. So we own our future. I don't see a threat that's going to take away our potential here.
Yeah, it's not like people are inventing new sports
No.
or basketball's going anywhere.
I don't see anything out there that's going to invalidate our model. There is lots of room for improvement, no doubt, but there isn't anything I see on the horizon that's going to take away the interest or the demand or need for youth sports as we deliver it.
CEO, you're in charge of the vision, right? Carrie, look out 5 years. What do you see and where are you going?
I see a continued path on the direction that we've already set for
So
ourselves.
more of the same.
More of the same, but better.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we have only scratched the surface of what we can do. I mean, knowing that most of our franchise owners have less than 2% share of their market or penetration, that means that just sticking to our formula now gives us tremendous upside
So
growth
as
opportunities.
successful you've been, it was just on 2% adoption?
Exactly. Exactly. There are that many kids out there. There's that much opportunity. And so as I look at that lifetime value of the kids that we're serving, age 3 through 14, if we just do what we do, just capture more market, we certainly are going to be adding some more sports. But again, the main 4 core sports, soccer, flag football, t-ball, basketball, if we did nothing else but those 4 core sports and serve the ages of 3 to 14, we could triple, quadruple the size of our business.
So what sports would you add, like pickleball or
no, I don't see
the Bay Area,
pickleball.
they were doing Segway polo?
Yeah, well, we actually are expanding to lacrosse. We actually have a lacrosse program that is unique to our format that we're going to be expanding. But again, those are nice add-ons to our business. The core sports, though, I always use the analogy of fish where the fish are.
Yeah.
Those 4 core sports are where the majority of youth players are, and so we really want to emphasize doing really well at those. The other thing I'll add to this, and it's been a focus of ours for the past couple years, is delivering an age-appropriate experience for the kids. So not taking the one-fits-all approach, but saying if you come in to be with us as a peewee, stay with us because what you're going to get as a junior is going to be different, and again different when you get to be a senior. So we are allowing kids to become more competitive as they grow, and the level of instruction changes. So it is a different experience.
Brian, we talk about franchisees as being leaders, entrepreneurs,
Yep.
right? And franchising is a lead the leader model, right? So and leaders, you can't forced leadership, right?
No, you can't.
It's a choice. You turn around, they're either following you or they're not, right? So who are you looking for as a franchisee? And who would be happiest to be led by somebody like you?
Well, the passion is there for anybody that comes down on sports. Again, kids in sports, that's an easy thing to get excited about. But the people that are excited about being in our system are the people that appreciate the advantage of being in a system, meaning I will bring to you as the franchisee the self-motivation. I'm going to work hard at this business. But what I appreciate about I9 Sports is you're giving me the tools I need to be successful in a way I couldn't be if I were doing this on my own. So someone that is willing to follow the formula and marry the platform we've built with their own hunger to succeed.
Their own entrepreneur drive? Yeah, got it.
But they have to be willing to subjugate their entrepreneurial spirit to the greater whole and good of the brand. So we took a bold step to allow franchise owners to put less cash down up front, which leaves them more capital to employ in the development of the business, which allows them to market faster, scale faster, and get a bigger result sooner.
Brian, just thank you for answering our questions and joining us today.
Thank you, Joe. It's been a pleasure.